One of the big decisions a farmer makes every year is to decide what crops to grow. And there are a lot of things to consider in making that decision. For example, what crop rotations are going to minimize disease? What's my storage capacity? What's the timing of harvest and labor availability? What's the cost of the inputs? Well, one of the biggest considerations that they need to make on which crop to grow is going to be which one makes me the most profit. So the grain budgets page is designed to help the farmer make that decision. Let's dive into the details. On the grain budgets page, you can create a new budget by clicking on the green plus, or you can go into an existing budget by clicking on the description. Let's look at the left-hand side here. This crop refers to what you are selling. It's going to be named in any sales contract that you're going to be making. The budget name can be anything you want it to be. It can be the variety, it can be a field name like home court or whatever. Comment is a free text field. If you create an action, it's going to create a reminder for you into the active menu page. Exclude acre totals when you check it would be, say, a budget that is of custom spraying and you do 5,000 acres. We don't want that 5,000 acres of custom spraying to increase the size of the farm. Double crop acres is much the same way. You're creating another budget, but it doesn't increase the farm size, so it can be underseeding alfalfa, or it could be if you're in an area where you can grow 2 crops in 1 year. Active budget, if you uncheck it, is going to disable the budget from the program. It's going to keep it there with a strike through line that's going to tell you that we're not using it, and it's there for any time that you want to make use of it again. Scenario is a drop down, so you can take a budget and move it to another year if you want, or you can move it to another scenario. The budget acres is just letting you know where this budget is being used. In this case, 1,000 acres unassigned. Right column. We have here is changes. If you're making an edit inside this form and you're not sure what's all been changed, you can click on it, it'll list your changes for you. Cancel, of course, will be an exit and do not save. Copy would take this budget you're looking at it, close it, and then open up a new budget that is a copy, and it'll have -copy at the end of the budget name. Delete will, of course, delete the budget. You need to enter yield as part of the revenue. So you can put in it in bushels, in tons, or pounds. When you see a black number with an underline onto it, you can click on it and it'll give you a mouse over as to what's behind the numbers. If I go to that realized price and do a mouse over, you're going to see the pop-up window that gives you the fact that we're getting this price from uncommitted at 765, but we do have 1,800 bushels that's contracted out and priced at 784. Miscellaneous revenue such as crop insurance, hail insurance, or other income can be added to this as well. If we move on now to the middle tab of expenses, we've broken it down into seed, fert chem, crop insurance, and other. Taking a look at the seed, of course, you can put in what variety you use, what rate in bushels or pounds that you're seeding, and you can say where is the seed coming from, because we don't grow a crop without having got the seed from somewhere, and that's a cost. So either we purchased it or we might click on that and choose a previous harvest year to pull that from. Package price is just a convenient feature where if a seed company is offering $50 an acre and you're putting in 4 pounds an acre of seed, it'll just calculate out the purchase price for you. Seeding date is optional. It's just something that's there for interest if the farmer would like it. And then, of course, the comment again is free text. If we move on to the fertilizer section, we have a calculator, and I'm not going to cover that here. But the next part is the override. So you don't have to put in all the numbers if you don't want to. It can just throw in, boom, $110 an acre. But if you would like to show what fertilizer has been applied each year, you can say, well, here's urea, phosphate, and potash, and we're putting in 900 pounds. So you're putting in the dollars per ton, how many product pounds per acre you're putting in, and that'll show you what the cost is per ingredient. At the bottom, we have this is a nutrient of 961512. We're putting 250 pounds of product an acre down at a cost of 105. And we can add a few extra things to it if you need to. The chemicals is, again, you can do an overall cost of what the chemicals are, but I find that if I go through the list, it'll trigger the farmer to give me costs that they may have otherwise forgot. So seed treatment of chemical put onto a seed, including inoculants. Pre-emergent is what gets put on before you seed. Post-emergent is after the crop came up, what was sprayed pre-harvest. A fall application, that would be a dry down or for weed control. Insecticide, fungicide, those are all in-crop applications or other. Insurance, like the others, has an override feature, but the crop insurance is something that is done on a per crop basis, not on a per budget basis. So here from the crop insurance page, you can enter into what the crop insurance is for each one of your crops. And then the fact that we picked 2-row barley, it's going to come up and saying that we have chosen a $6 protection level, and you can click on change to get that level of coverage if you wanted to change it. Hail insurance is on a per field basis, not on a per crop basis. So we've allowed the farmer to make sure he can change the amount of hail insurance coverage per year. So this is $1.50 per $100 coverage. For $200 an acre of coverage means that it's a cost of $3. Other expense has been added here as a way to capture costs that are unique to a crop. So if you grew a different crop than this crop, you would not have this expense. So fuel, repairs, and so forth is common across all crops, and so we don't put it here. So expenses that are unique to crop should be added here. For example, if you grow peas, it's a given that you're going to land roll it and rent that land roller, and you're going to have that extra cost. In this case with the barley, we're selling the straw, and so we do need it baled. We don't bale up canola straw, but this is a cost unique to barley, and we want to contribute that expense to the barley to make sure that after all expenses of barley are considered, we want to know what the profit is. The land tab is going to tell the budget how many acres to spread this over. If it's owned, it's pretty straightforward. The cost of ownership is just going to be included in the overhead, such as loan payments and property taxes. If you click on cash rent, well, then we need to put in what the dollars per acre is, or the total box would be sometimes you rent so many acres and you're paying that whether a little bit of it is seeded or not. It is a cost of being able to rent that land. When land is crop shared, it can be very complicated to calculate. And so we've taken into consideration the fact that what is the landlord's share? And here it's 20%. And so you would have a gross cost of $88.81, or we call it revenue for the landlord. But if you have an agreement where the landlord pays part of the input cost, for example, here 20% in seed for chem, the landlord has an expense of $33.55. So the crop share total would be $55.26 an acre, and that is the cost to the renter of renting that land. In a crop share situation, it is common for the renter to hold onto the landlord share and continue to sell it for him. If the landlord sells that crop for a particular price and the check goes to them, then you'd want to be able to set that price for landlord crop. If the landlord keeps his crop share with the renter and it just gets sold off just like all the renters is, then we would want to use net realized price to value that crop that went to the landlord. But if the landlord says, no, I want to take that crop away from the renter and sell it myself, then we would want to make sure that we get that landlord share out of our inventory, and we will value that loss of crop that went to the landlord at the net realized price for the farm. Back on the summary page or anywhere in the program, when you see blue text with a line under it, that means that there's something in behind it. So if you click on display, you can choose which columns it is you want to see on this page. A bulk update is a way to make common changes over a multiple set of budgets. There's the ability to create new budgets, and also that you can click on the yield and be able to change the yield quickly without going into the crop budgets. The purpose of this page and the way that I was telling you that this page helps make the decision about what crops to grow is because it gives the contribution margin. Contribution margin is revenue minus expenses. You want to choose to grow the most of are the ones that has the most amount of money left over after you pay the inputs to grow that crop. So why is contribution margin important? Because contribution margin minus overhead is what equals your net profit. So the higher the contribution margin, the higher your net profit is. So one of the things the farmer should be looking at when he's deciding which crop to grow is what are the best crops to grow? And we have them listed at the bottom of the left menu is in here in descending order, the best crop to grow the most of is oats, then canola, and lastly barley. So as I mentioned before, this page is really important to a farmer to help him decide what crops to grow. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped.